Yeah. Okay.
Call the meeting to order, and we're gonna start off with pledge of allegiance. You can join us if you choose. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Taviston,
Here.
Finley here, Lewis, Linky,
Here.
McGill,
Here.
Seacrest,
Here.
Schwartz.
Here. We have a full board tonight. And can I get a motion on adopting the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Support.
Any questions on it? We will be going after, since the participation, we have to go into closed session with our attorneys on an unrelated matter. That's nothing to do with something, so. Got a motion, we have support on the agenda, all in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Takes us to the minutes, get a motion on the regular meeting of June 20th. Support. Okay, we're gonna have comments about the minutes. Okay. Any other seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And then for the June 28th special meeting, if I could get a motion.
Support.
On that.
I have one change under new business. The reference of a superior personnel policy manual, removing the word policy. This is not a policy.
Could you say that again, Rhonda?
Removing policy
What page are you on?
on page 1 of the proposed June 28th special meeting minutes. Under new business, A,
Okay, thank
superior
you.
personnel policy.
You're right.
manual.
Thank you.
And then I got a couple of other small changes that I can make and submit with regards to statements.
Okay. So we have motion support, some discussion on that, all in favor of approving the minutes and received, say aye.
Aye.
There's going to be a little administrative cleanup by some members, but nothing that is a material change.
No.
All right, that takes us to citizen participation. We have a lot of citizens tonight. We know why most of you are here, and so we're gonna go through the same routine that we've had in the past. We'd ask that you line up on the side if you wish to speak, and then come to the podium, state your name, where you live, the municipality and the street. You don't have to give us your address, just the street. So with that, I will open up citizen participation. Yes.
Second time.
Yes, Lynn.
Good evening. I will give my comments quickly as Ann Arbor City Council meeting started at the exact same time, so I'll be delivering it and heading out. I appreciate your time and effort again to meet and discuss this on Garrett Space and the rezoning. I spoke a little bit as in my role as a city council member in Ann Arbor, but I didn't speak as much as a co-founder for our family foundation. The Song Family Foundation is a foundation that's active in Washington County, Detroit, Baltimore. We have 30 million in assets. Our work is really focused on inequities in our area and youth, art, justice work. For the past several years, we've given nearly 3 million in grants. I'm sure you're familiar with organizations such as the Neutral Zone, Ozone House, Avalon Housing, Packard Health, the ITSE District Library, among other entities that have received grants. I've am personally invested in seeing Garrett Space and succeed in their capital campaign efforts. And I can assure you that my family foundation and other family foundations I'm aware of would gladly partner in this effort to see this through. And this is out of love, and it's out of care, and it's out of personal experience with mental health issues that plague our youth as a parent and as a neighbor. So a question that I've heard here at these sessions has been, how would I feel if I lived by a facility like this? I live 2 blocks from Section 8 housing. I live less than half a mile from family housing on North Campus. I live less than a half mile from where we did rapid rehousing during the pandemic for folks who struggled with a variety of issues. So I encourage you to think of the potential that can come from a diverse number of neighbors who can come to communities with love and care, and that the leadership that you can demonstrate here will impact generations to come. So I thank you for your time and effort, and good luck.
Well, I forgot you are here. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is TC Collins. I represent Below Run Acres, Executive Director of a garden program, Send Energy representative, Ypsilanti Sustainability Commission, and also a 4-H leader. Tonight, I'm asking that if you can speak about the letter from the county parks requesting that more than half of the dollars in the Hyundai Tree Fund be set aside if possible. I'm asking to reserve these monies for the tree fund for the Clay Hill Community Garden that is in the future for MacArthur and Harris. Reason for that is that we're trying to bring awareness of the trees that may be taken down, but put trees in its place. So taking out the invasive trees, putting in fruit trees in that area if possible. In that area of MacArthur and Harris on the far corner, we're proposing to add an orchard in that area. And by taking out at least 40 of the invasive trees that are out there, we're asking to try to replace those trees with fruit trees. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Irma Golden. I live at 1585 Sheffield Drive. And I also own with my daughter 1558 Sheffield Drive. So I came here for three little things, but I'm also going to give you a copy because I know today you're going to listen to a lot of voices. I'm coming here today as a resident. My first concern, as always, you know that I always talk about sidewalks. And what I want to give to you is a document. I'm giving you a document because a company did do the inspections for Oak Brook, Washington Square, Gettys Ridge, Wyatt, and Harvest Lane. However, just simply driving through other areas, and I also received probably about 70 from Bromley Park, and I didn't go look at them. It came from the HOA. So what I would like to ask is that the board will approve for someone to check out the other areas because the sidewalks do not look good. Those pictures on the front page are simply only from Brookside. The last page is Bromley Park. So I think it's only fair. The other thing I would like to say, because I have been closely involved with this, not the same company, because I've had problems, and those problems are right where I live. I have a man across the street, somebody down here who never received a letter. So I don't know what to say to these people. All I do is tell them I'm gonna send them a letter, but what about all the others? Another thing that I want to raise really quickly, because I know I don't have that much time. This is something that's been on my mind. I come to all the meetings that I can, even the planning meetings. What I don't understand, because of all the decisions that you're making here are so important, this board, and it affects everyone, the residents and the employees. Why, every time I come to a meeting, I see 2 administrators, but why you don't require the others to be in attendance? It's on this document. And that's it.
Good evening, trustees, Mr. Supervisor. My name is Steve Taylor. I am a resident of the township. I'm also a psychiatrist, and I'm here to say a few words in support of Garrett Space. As a psychiatrist, I'm taking care of the patients, many of whom will use Garrett Space. Now, I've been here before, and you probably know or you've heard my opinions before, but I just wanted to make a point about the question of zoning. As a resident here who is living just a half mile from this property, the question of zoning is one that's important to me and to my wife as we are around this area. Zoning is an important question, and I really appreciate the attention the board has given to that. Zoning makes for the constancy and the consistency of our environment. I would say that it's important to keep in mind that this Garrett Space really needs this constancy of the natural environment to be preserved. And I think their plans show that they will be preserving it. That's important to the therapeutic mission. The other part of the consistency, I just driving through there yesterday, I was thinking, you go north on Dixboro and you pass 23, on your left is the Solid Rock Church. On the right is Garrett Space. You go a few hundred yards down the road, turn west on Warren, and then you're at the Convent of the Dominican Sisters. So now I realize west of Ann Arbor, of Dixboro, is Ann Arbor Township. But when you're concerned with the zoning, you take into account the whole area. And to me, this seems like a perfect fit to have Garrett Space added to this area. You have 2 institutions involved in the care and mending of souls. To have the Garrett Space added to that, I think would be a really wise and important decision, and one that would make me proud to be a resident of Superior Township. Thank you.
What street do you live on, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. I live on Windstone Drive. Sorry.
Hi, Supervisor Schwartz and trustees. Thank you for allowing me to speak, even though I am a resident of the city of Ann Arbor and I live on 4th Street. My name is Dan Ezekiel. I'm a member of the Washington County Parks and Recreation Commission and also part of the elected leadership of the local Sierra Club, the Huron Valley Group, and formerly as chair. I'm not speaking for either of those institutions, but I will say that the Huron Valley Group Sierra Club has endorsed the rezoning for Garrett Space. I want to say, board, I appreciate the heroic efforts that you all have made to preserve the part of your township north of Gettys as primarily agriculture and open space. As a birder, I'm often found along Freeland and just admiring the biodiversity that you've helped to maintain in what would otherwise be part of the metro sprawl. And I think the property in question is one of the finest examples of natural areas in the entire township. The hills, the woods, the quiet solitude, the unspoiled stretch of Fleming Creek. This would be a jewel in the crown of Northern Superior Township. There really seem to be only 2 realistic outcomes for this property, the one proposed under this rezoning, or else sale to a developer who will build the maximum number of large houses that the zoning will support. I think the zoning is a far better outcome for the local ecosystem than the alternative, and apparently your zoning commission agrees. I'm also going to say on a personal note that I survived the suicide of a close family member when I was young, so I'm totally in support of the mission of the nonprofit that seeks to preserve the vast majority of this property, as well as the mental health of area young folks. And I strongly urge you to concur in the zoning commission's finding and to approve the rezoning. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Meredith Schindler. I am a resident of Superior Township. I live on Vreeland Road. And I am the executive director of Ann Arbor Academy, which is a small private school for students who learn differently. I also sit on the Ypsilanti Community Schools Board of Trustees. I do not speak on behalf of either of those institutions today, but it's relevant because I work with youth day and night. And there are so many mental health issues that crop up with them, and they need a supportive place to be. Our young people are, they really need a place like Garrett Space. So I've talked to you before. I sent a letter, so I'm not going to spend a lot of your time, but I just wanted to lend my voice again in strong support of the work of Garrett Space and the rezoning. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Stone. I'm from Brownstown Township, Michigan. I'm here in support of Garrett Space. Last year, I had a life-altering panic attack. And I was sent to Stonecrest in Detroit, a psychiatric hospital, a place I never thought I'd see myself. My experience there was tough. It was less than favorable. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in about 30 seconds. I was asked no context, no detail of my situation and how I ended up there, but instead just, like I said, a summary of how I got there. This is either a flaw in the system or that's just the way things are. I was left to interact with others struggling in the form of board games, television, and a wandering mind. Wake up, eat, play some games, take your meds, and go to bed. There was no direction. There was no help. The word institutionalized comes to mind when I think of my experience. I left Stonecrest feeling no different. Garrett Space has given me tools, resources, and most importantly, a community of individuals I can grow with. What I thought to be embarrassingly unique mental struggles transformed into common problems for my peers in Garrett Space. It's promising to know that I'm not the only one who feels what I feel. I used to think those who struggle with thoughts of self-harm were weird or a danger. And now here I am. Life has humbled me. Now that I know my peers in Garrett Space are everyday people with hearts of gold who simply don't have the tools to address their issues. Excuse me. Contrary to popular belief, both can be true. You can do everything right and still struggle with thoughts of self-harm. Educated, wealthy, poor, famous or not, mental health does not discriminate. There's probably someone you know and love with their own dirty secret of self-harm. A residential center would be a dream. I lived a nightmare at Stonecrest. I'm hurt. I'm just like you. I'm forced to deal with what I feel. Like they say, it takes a village. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lori Roddy. I live in Ann Arbor, but I serve as the executive director of Neutral Zone, an arts and leadership space for high school youth. I'm always a champion of young people who are in high school, 14 to 18. However, in the last 5 years, Neutral Zone has taken great efforts to build programming for young adults 18 and over, both in our Future Core program and workforce development, now a creative artistic space for young adults. I mean, we do this because we know, and honestly, of all the folks I've talked to over the past few years, the population that's struggling the most right now are young adults who are 18 and over, who really got left behind in the pandemic, who had no place to kind of re-land, transition or find jobs or work, and are feeling more than ever like they don't belong or matter and are disconnected in our communities, which is really affecting their mental health. And so this is a population of a high critical need. I know at Neutral Zone, our kids are not just coming from Ann Arbor, they're coming from all over Washtenaw County, Ypsilanti, Superior Township, and your communities. And we're so excited to greet them, work with them, and serve them. But they don't have a residential space. They do not have a space to heal when they're struggling with mental health issues, and they don't have a community to land in. I know that it's hard to hear a lot of folks from Ann Arbor or other communities come to you tonight. No one's telling you what to do with your land. But you get this great opportunity to not only serve the people that you love and care about in Superior Township, but the people all across Washtenaw County who have folks that they really want to support and help. And so we're asking you to really take this opportunity, to take the chance to lead this and to serve the broader Washtenaw County community. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marjorie Brower from Fleming Ridge Drive in Superior Township. Our master plan and zoning clearly spell out what is permitted and desired at 3900 Dixboro. There is limited commercial usage allowed and no medical use allowed, period. Think apple picking and snow removal. Garrett's base central narrative is that they are a residential campus. Our court system defines residential as having permanence. Our zoning ordinance defines a dwelling as a residential unit providing a permanent living facility. Unregulated transient uses like Garrett's base are expressly prohibited. Rezoning at 3900 Dixboro at its core is a good real estate deal. The helpers will tell you that. The Searses have been trying to develop parts of their land for 30 years to no avail. When the Searses developed our street in 1994, they included the option for residential expansion into their property on the master deed. 3900 Dixboro has been on and off the market for a decade. No one has been able to make a development work. Further, there is no way 33 houses could be built there. Our zoning requires that wetland slopes, roads, and easement acreage is first deducted to determine density. Our natural feature clause of zoning and the lack of septic sites exclude development. The conservation easement is a redundancy and a tax tool for the landowner. The bottom line is there are appropriately zoned options for Garrett space. You are being asked to rezone for a real estate deal. It is not so different than Salem Springs or Hawthorne Mills. Your constituents want the laws upheld. This rezoning is not legal. The precedent of both bailing out a homeowner and ignoring the master plan's intent will have enormous impacts. This vote will long be remembered as a pivotal moment in the township for a long time to come. Thank you.
Brenda Baker, Ashton Court. I'm so proud of Superior Township. I love it. I plan to live out my days here and be buried here. Please don't make this the day our sterling reputation goes down the tubes. I was disappointed in the Planning Commission for caving so easily and surprised by the planner's report that turned PC zoning into a pretzel. Something felt off. A couple of new things appeared in the packet just before this meeting. There was a letter from Warren Road Superior Township resident. I have no idea who that is, but they're a good FOIA person. And a couple of things from that are the opinion of Ben Carlisle from June to September of 2022 was that using PC special district did not comply with the master plan. He recommended MS special district 3 times. In the September 2022 email that indicates someone from the township told Ben Carlisle, the township wants Garrett space to be successful. Sounds like something may be going on in Township Hall. I don't know. Also in the packet, all of a sudden we have a wetland delineation. The wetland delineation is from 2022. It was done for Midwest Consulting, not for Garrett space. And lose my the date on there is June 8th, 2022, when that delineation was completed. Pretty close to the time that the current property owner contacted Garrett space and started this whole snowball in motion. Item number 3, there's still no information from our township attorney that I've heard or read or had access to anywhere. I didn't see it in the packet. Maybe you guys are getting it someplace else. I don't know. At the end of the last planning commission meeting, and I stay till the end of meetings, you guys probably know because I stay to the end of your meetings too. During pleas and petitions and people were kind of chit-chatting, and there was some conversation at the planning commission meeting about whether there would be a lawsuit. Why would they be asking that question?
My name's Steve Preston. I live on Fleming Ridge Drive. I wasn't able to attend the hearing last week because I wasn't able to finish work, pick up my kids from daycare and make it back home by 5:30, especially with all the traffic along 23 in Dixboro. I know most of my neighbors were also unable to attend due to it being scheduled on the week of the 4th. I did speak at last month's board meeting and simply stated that the applicant's proposed usage and development is not a planned community in this district of the township. I also described the preferential treatment the applicant has received throughout the rezoning request process. I had some other excerpts I was going to list to you, but instead I'll just piggyback off my neighbor there. The comments and actions demonstrated by the township, at the very least, demonstrate preferential treatment and bias towards the applicant. Superior Township is currently in litigation for denying plans to run a sewer line through a rural area in the northeast corner of the township. Per March 6, 2023 MLive article, Superior Township's main defense is that the sewer line runs contrary to its master plan, which has successfully preserved agricultural lands in the eastern part of northeastern part of the township. Excuse me. The township defended the master plan and continues their defense of their master plan in this ongoing litigation. You can be certain that plaintiffs' representatives in this lawsuit will be following this rezoning application and decision today. Rezoning this property substantiates their argument and illustrates that this township arbitrarily picks and chooses when and when not to defend the master plan based on their likeness of the applicant. They can easily claim they have been unfairly discriminated against. Rezoning of this property and the outcome of this ongoing litigation will have a long-lasting effect on the future of this township. It sets a precedent for developers to come into all rural areas of the township that have remained intact due to the township's defense of the master plan. All you have to do is look to our neighboring township to the east to see what can happen here. Please defend our master plan. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for your time this evening. Ashley Oberheid, and I am on Granger in Ann Arbor. I have been here meeting after meeting. I am coming tonight, like Lynn Song, to speak as a donor in the area. It hasn't been something that I've also previously mentioned. It's not something I really feel very comfortable publicly talking about. However, we did found, my husband founded Duo Security in Ann Arbor. We are now in a position to give, and we do support a lot of different organizations, and I can't think of anyone else meeting the needs of the current state of our world better than a wellness center like Garrett Space. I think this is something that we will need not only in Superior Township, but in each of our townships, and we need to find a place for it. And so I think if that means that if it did not go with the master plan, I think that that's something that might need to be reconsidered because we're trying to serve our community. And so I hope that this exists in Superior Township. I wish it was in Ann Arbor next to me. I'd be there with it. But I'm here tonight with you guys and asking you to support Garrett Space. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Katie Baker. I live in Pittsfield Township, Eagle Circle, and I'm a lifelong resident of Washtenaw County. Growing up with my mom was both a blessing and a curse. Publicly, she maintained an image of compassion and of caring. However, behind closed doors, that care was subject to her whims. When I was in elementary school and she felt like she could control me, this was mainly a problem for my dad, whom she couldn't control, and so she would enact explosive arguments with him. But when I was partway through middle school and started questioning her actions, she started to turn her rage upon me. It had nothing to do with either my dad or I, but did have to do with the fact that she had sustained significant trauma in her life prior to meeting my dad. But it would be decades before I pieced that together. Frequently, because in front of others my mom was so nice, when I would be upset with her, reconciliation would be pushed for me to accept without her taking accountability for her actions. As a matter of fact, many people disbelieved me because she was so good at maintaining facades. This led me to feeling extremely lonely and isolated. Depression and anxiety plagued me, and my only reprieve was going for a jog or a bicycle ride. And of course, meeting up with friends who had been through some dark times themselves. Something that really helped me was being able to leave the family home and step into truly supportive environments like living on campus, like Garrett Space. Living among my peers, even if for a short duration, brought me much needed joy and exhilaration. I could finally breathe. But for many of my peers, they were taken advantage of in this vulnerable new growth period and lost their lives as a result. Garrett Space seeks to provide that support network of peers who get you, which is a vital component to suicide prevention in a way that protects young adults while they are establishing themselves in our world. While there are many different kinds of mental illnesses, the focus of Garrett Space is to provide a reprieve for those facing depression and anxiety, two highly treatable conditions. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Josh Stumkus and I live in Superior Charter Township on Aspen Lane. In the end, as sad as it sounds, politics is often about backlash. People vote for a lot of reasons, but anger and fear are the ones that get the most mileage. As people intimately involved in local politics, you probably understand this better than I do. It sounds bleak, but there is one good thing about backlash. It tends to scale with whatever people are actually losing. And this, the right moral thing to do and the right political thing to do can sometimes align. Right now, you're hearing backlash from the not in my backyard crowd. The NIMBYs fear that the loss of something abstract, the character of their nice neighborhood, the loss of innocence that comes with having to realize that people around them struggle with anxiety and depression and sometimes need help. They do sincerely feel this injury, for now. But will they feel it in November of 2024, in the heat of a presidential election year with the culture war blazing all around them, and lives that haven't changed one bit? Will they even remember this at all? I doubt it. There will be nothing to remind them of it, as isolated as the property is. On the other hand, if you veto Garrett's space, you'll be causing real injury, an injury to every parent who worries about their kids' anxiety, every spouse struggling to help their depressed partner, everyone that knows how hard it is to get resources. Their injury will be real and it will be something they can't forget. They have a daily reminder they just can't forget about. And their backlash will scale with that much more real injury. I guess it comes down to which narrative you'd rather run against in a year. That you're someone who let those people into the neighborhood, or that you care more about your township's image than its suicidal youth. That's a hard way to put it, but politics isn't gentle. You're between a rock and a hard place, and I don't envy you. But I hope you find your way to the choice that is more compassionate and safer in the long run. Thank you.
My name is Genevieve Faber. I live here in Superior Township on Aspen Lane in the Arbor Woods Manufactured Home Community. I've spoken several times here on my personal attachment to this cause from my own mental health journey. So I'm not going to waste your time rehashing that. But I do want to just reiterate my support for Garrett Space from a community aspect. A project like this does truly reflect our motto and goals. It takes care of our community, serving some of those who need some of the most help sustainably. It cares for our planet by preserving acres and acres of beautiful nature to be enjoyed that otherwise will become winding subdivision streets and parking lots, because it will inevitably come. People will throw enough money at it. And it does make us one superior place for our youth in need. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Stephen Henley, 5188 Warren Road. I find it ironic that some of the speakers tonight want to continue to bully and ostracize those of us that live in the vicinity, which I think is very contrary to mental health. I'd like to also point out that this is not going to serve our community at $18,000 a month to stay at this location. As I pointed out to Mr. Schwartz when he visited my property, the Garrett Space proposed location is right up the hill from where I have my 6 kids under 15. We have a pathway around our property, which I won't feel comfortable allowing them to utilize. And it does become a security risk, not because of it being a mental health facility, but because of it being a facility where people are going to be coming and going on a monthly basis. We, as Superior Township residents, pay our taxes to live in a community that provides us support, and it shouldn't be a political decision. But I also question, where is the money going to go or come from that the current property is paying for those taxes, since this is going to a nonprofit? The township isn't going to be receiving those. So who is, where is that money going to come from? Are we just going to raise our taxes and have us continue bearing something that doesn't actually serve the community? Or are we going to stick to our guns and defend the one superior place and the green space, the only green space between here and Detroit? So I obviously am opposed to this rezoning, and I ask that you consider and read all of our letters, which have been a lot, but I think we bring some valid concerns. Thank you.
Doug Dale, 5510 Warren, also known as, what's the name of the driver? Anyway, close neighbor of this place. This is decision time tonight. And the decision you make here is actually much bigger than just Garrett space. The homework has been done by you folks, I believe, and you know, I don't need to reiterate, that this is a violation of the zoning ordinance, it's a violation of the land use plan. The question is, are you going to allow those ordinances to be circumvented? And if the answer is yes, then Katie bar the door, because all the developers that stopped at Napier Road are looking at all of our agricultural land, looking to come in. The township's got a good job of defending that for the last several years. And thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for leading that. Appreciate that. But you're going to set a precedent. If you approve this thing, it basically says those ordinances don't mean a thing. All you have to do is put together an emotional argument and you can overcome the ordinances. If you do that, you're going to get a tidal wave of developers coming in here, and we're going to look like Canton Township. Look at what's happened to Canton between Canton Center and Napier in the last 10 years. Project 10 years more, here we are. I would urge you to turn this down, to encourage the Garretts to find a spot that has got proper zoning, that is not going to destroy a neighborhood. It will not set a precedent that will destroy a community, which is exactly what's going to happen here. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Matuzak. I live on Voorhees Road. I've been a resident of the north end of Superior Township for 54 years. I've attended both planning commission meetings and I believe 3 board meetings regarding this issue. It's my opinion that probably 10 to 15% of the people that have addressed you have addressed the issue of rezoning. The rest of the people give you a big emotional appeal on the need for a residential treatment center that works to prevent suicide. Nobody here would deny that we need additional facilities that work in the area of suicide prevention. However, that is not the issue before you. The issue before you is very clear. Will you take rural residential property and rezone it to permit an approximate 11,000 square foot facility with a value of at least $10 million with no access to public water, public sewer, or public transportation? Will you rezone that contrary to our master plan? To do so would give a lot of ammunition for all of those developers. I think Brenda Baker covered it quite clearly that you're going to open the door to every developer here. This is a clear rezoning issue. This property is not compatible with our master plan. It's a commercial facility or a medical facility, however you want to term it. It's an illusion that it's a residential facility in compliance with our zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Good evening, Crystal Light, and I stay on Crab Apple Drive in Superior Township. I am here in support of Garrett Space. I just wanted to say that it is a request to rezone the property. And when you say that is to revise, to revisit. And so I am asking that you revise, that you revisit the zoning order so that this space is available and that Garrett Space can be an asset to Superior Township. So just remember that when we are talking about rezoning, nothing is set in stone. There are laws that are changed, that have been changed recently. And as far as with rezoning, you can rezone so that this property is made available and, like I said, an asset for Superior Township. Thank you.
My name is Delphine Reed. I live on Stamford Road in Superior Township, and I didn't come here planning to say anything tonight. But listening to some of the comments about changes in the neighborhood is a familiar thing. to me about people fearing that a neighborhood will change. And some of you know what I'm talking about. As far as a security risk, this whole nation is in a season of being in a security risk for various reasons. But I thought about, and I admire the passion of the resident that said, I live here, I plan to be buried here. But what about those who through the Garrett Space program may have an opportunity to live beyond the time that you do? What if they can get help sufficient that they can decide, I want to make something of my life? I admire this program so much just from a mailer that I received. And so I hope that as I talked about what ifs last week, that you will continue to consider that the what ifs of somebody being able to continue to live would far outweigh any fears that others have. Thank you for these few moments. I'm not gonna let that bell ring tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and board members. My name is Gene DeRosset. I live in Manchester, Michigan. I was asked over a year ago to work with Garrett Space, and I was honored to help them. But I can tell you, our family life changed 6 months ago when my daughter called me and said that our youngest grandchild was in desperate need because of depression and anxiety. And I can say to you that I called Scott and Julie and Garrett Space, and they walked us through this desperate time in our family life for our child that we love so dear. I can tell you that I spent the weekend with him, and he's well and happy. He's got a new job, and he has been diagnosed and medicated, and he's doing great. But I can tell you the transition from where he was and where he's at now, I hope that none of you ever get there. But I can assure you that we in this building will have to deal with that at some point in our life. And I want to thank you as board members, because I've been there. I've represented this township and this state at the state and federal level. It's a big responsibility. But it takes courage to be a leader, and I'm encouraging you tonight to be a leader and make a difference, not only in this community, but in Washtenaw County, and set the example for what we have always done to make a difference in families' life. Thank you.
Township Supervisor, Treasurer, Clerk, and Trustees, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Stephen Postema. I'm a resident of Ann Arbor. I live on Woodbridge. I've grew up in Ann Arbor, but I'm very fond of all of the townships, so much so that when I was city attorney for Ann Arbor for 20 years, one of the proudest things I did was help draft the Greenbelt Ordinance to preserve green space. And so the issue of green space is very important to me, and the issues of townships are important to me. I've followed this project for some time, not only because it's so needed, everybody here in this room agrees on that, but as an attorney who has specialized for over 2 decades in municipal law and governments and is very familiar with zoning and legal issues. I believe firmly in the power of local communities to do good and make wise land use decisions at the same time. I've reviewed the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and I have to say, your commission has done a wonderful job in their thorough analysis. In the media coverage of the Planning Commission, being a retired city attorney, I read the news and I read about other townships, and I'm a law geek. So I read the issues about the claim that rezoning was somehow inappropriate under the zoning law. Well, that surprised me. And so I went and looked at your zoning ordinance and looked at the master plan. And That claim simply is not true. Importantly, this on-premises residential care use would be appropriate under the zoning ordinance and well suited to the planned community special district. Consistent with the master plan and growth management strategy, the theme of this development is perfectly captured in the language adopted by the township. What visionary language is this? The rural landscape does more than simply provide scenery, as the benefits of nature to citizen mental health are recognized as very important. Is my time up? 5 seconds. In conclusion, please adopt this. Such a vote honors the growth management plan, honors a valuable proposal, and demonstrates wise land use policy. It's the right location here. And I thank you for your time. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Jan Peart. I live on Ann's Way in Superior Township. And I just wanted to say that I fully support Garrett Space simply because I care about people.
Hello, my name is Gabby Kelly. I'm 22 and I live on West Cross Street in Ypsilanti, where I'm in grad school for my master's of social work at EMU. Although I live in Ypsi now, I was born in Ann Arbor and lived there for the first 18 years of my life and grew up 12 minutes away from the proposed site for Garrett Space. I will also be a school social work intern at a middle school in Ann Arbor in the fall, so I'm very much connected to the place where Garrett Space will hopefully get a chance to thrive in the surrounding area. I'd like to share my experiences in hopes of showing how vital a place like Garrett Space is. Although my argument may be a bit of an emotional one, I hope you can see the logic in it as well. In October 2017, I was experiencing suicidal ideation after a long battle with mental health struggles. Luckily, I asked for help before making an attempt and was transported to a psychiatric hospital in Michigan. This place further traumatized me and made me feel so much worse. And unfortunately, there is vast research that shows I am not alone in my awful experience with hospitalization for suicidal ideation. A concern I've heard before is that the patients at Garrett Space would be dangerous and possibly run away from the site. I believe this concern disregards research that shows that people with mental illness are no more dangerous than people without mental illness. I think this concern also doesn't give enough credit to the employees that will be working at Garrett Space, which will mainly be social workers. I have a bachelor's of social work and just finished my first year of my master's of social work program. I can promise you that this is not a degree that you can earn quickly or easily. Garrett Space has stated that they would not accept patients that are currently a danger to others, and these workers would have vast training, likely in de-escalation as well, in case for some unlikely reason someone did decide to try and run away or do something harmful. Overall, the dehumanizing isolation that is all too common in psychiatric hospitals is the opposite of what people with mental health struggles, especially those struggling with suicide, need to heal. It's time we stop focusing solely on the chemistry and the brains of those with mental health issues and using drugs and hospitals to try and fix people. We need to treat the whole person, and that's what Garrett Space aims to do. Garrett Space has a holistic approach and incorporates things like nature, art, and yoga, and emphasizes connection and humanity. It gives these young people a real chance at healing and choosing to live again in a space surrounded by nature. This place will save so many lives if you just give it the chance. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brianna Burns. I live on Cornell Courts at Eastern Michigan University, where I'm a graduate student, and I'm in the program for higher education and student affairs with a bachelor's in psychology. 7.1% of adults have major depressive disorder, and 1.9 million children have been diagnosed with depression. And these are just what's been diagnosed, what people have spoken out about, because mental health is so stigmatized that people don't speak out about it. People are worried about crime, and violent victimizations committed by strangers accounted for 38% of all non-fatal violence in 2010. They're worried about something that's statistically unlikely to happen. And another big part of this community is the students. There's not a lot of representation here in the age group that Garrett Space will be serving. And I don't fault anybody for that. It happens. There are about 14,000 students at EMU and 11,000 students at WCC. 50% of college students identified their mental health struggles as their top stressor for 2023. During the 2020 to 2021 school year, 60% of college students met the criteria for at least one mental health problem. This is a major problem we're dealing with. I work with students, I live with students, and I have for some time now. And after talking with people after last time's meeting, I realized that there were some things that aren't general knowledge that I thought were. Students will call Ubers instead of ambulances because they can't afford them. So they won't call for help for something physical. Why would they call it for something mental? I also do want to say there is a mental health hotline at 9888 that you can call or text.
Hi, my name is Sean Manning. I live in Ypsilanti on Twin Lakes Drive. And I wanted to start by thanking all of you who have told your stories about why Garrett Space is so important and so vital to all of our communities. Our family has its own stories of mental health, but I think that ground has been covered. So I would just like to say again, thank you. I am concerned by some of the objections that I'm hearing, though, of the perception of who it is that needs this. For the gentleman who said this won't help our community, I would challenge him and anyone else who would be feeling this way to ask yourself, who is my community? Is it my immediate family, my children, my grandchildren, my parents? Is it my neighbors? Is it my friends? I assure you that whether you know it or not, someone in your community would value this space. And as for those who say, well, yes, there's an acknowledged need. We want somewhere like Garrett Space, but the zoning is what it is. I would say, you know, the master plan, I feel like the last few years have taught us that plans change and really need to change to adapt to the situation at hand. I think it would be a real shame to say we wanted to do the right thing, but our hands were tied. Thank you.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Sean Manning.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak tonight on this issue or any other issue pertinent to the township?
Kind of shy, sorry. I'm Susan Davis. I'm a resident of Superior Township on Joy Road, and I want to thank you all for your work, first of all, tonight. And I just wanted to say that I am in support of Garrett Space here for several reasons. First of all is I just care about people, and I think when the people who will be using Garrett Space are our community in a physical set, in the sense that if you look at the statistics for depression, the population of Superior Township, people here will be using it most likely at some point, at least conceivably. And also the benefit of those lives that will continue as opposed to ending, helping the people in this township in the long run. Maybe one of those 15 kids will grow up and will need physical therapy. And one of the people saved by Garrett Space will be that physical therapist that helps them, or any other thing. I'm a physical therapist, so I think of physical therapy, but any other thing. The human potential that we save will be helpful in the long run as well, is something I just wanted to share with you. Thank you all.
All right, that looks like the end of citizen participation, so I'm gonna call it to a close and we're gonna move on. We have, can I get a motion and support to discuss an attorney-client privilege communication regarding the sale or the sale contract? Okay. And then we can beat the roll.
Yes. Haviston? Finley, yes. Lewis? Linky? McGill? Schwartz? Seacrest?
Okay, so we are you can stay here. We're gonna go to another room and have our closed session. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but we'll be back. Yeah. language and map says the white areas around the western and northern parts of the township, which is where we're talking, are principally used for large lot rural residential development with a few farms along the border of Salem Township. A mixture of agricultural, rural residential, and resource conservation zones are present. This pattern is encouraged to continue. Chapter 7 of the master plan lists zoning districts and the general purposes of each district. The master plan sets forth goals, objectives, and policies for future growth and future development in the township. Zoning plan is intended to guide our implementation of future changes to the township zoning ordinance. Rural residential districts, the permitted uses under the master. The permitted purpose of the rural residential district, which this falls under, designation is to accommodate the large demand for land suited for large lot, single family use served by septic systems and private lands. Most of this land was formerly farmed, and some of it is still in agriculture, which is a permitted use. Dwellings are permitted on individual lots ranging in density from 1 dwelling unit or 2 acres per dwelling unit per acre. The land zone within these districts generally conforms to the area designated as agricultural lands, conservation lands, or rural residential. The master plan continues on. It says that isolated and abrupt changes in land uses are not recommended as a sound planning and zoning practice. In other words, it's incompatible with the character of the area. Moreover, rezoning is inconsistent with the master plan should only be considered where specific findings are made that demonstrate conditions have changed significantly since the last plan was adopted, or new information supports a change. In such cases, the township should consider an amendment to the master plan first. As related to this matter, in my opinion, after listening to the advocates and the opposition, and after reviewing the proposal in the context of the master plan and the zoning ordinance, I think the proposal is inconsistent with the master plan. The proposed plan community is not residential in nature, but includes dormitories, offices, and private offices for the council. The rezoning could significantly change the pattern of development in this part of the township. Other well-built facilities like Ferris Farms, a horse farm, and some orchards, and other large agricultural parcels in the area could be encouraged to follow suit and have other non-residential uses in mind, which would be inconsistent with the established pattern. In fact, I have heard from some of these people. My main concern is that the area plan calls for new construction of future dormitory-like buildings to house young adults for transitory periods of time. In my opinion, that issue was raised in the past, and the board allocated some of the areas in the township for such uses. The master plan is considered the uses proposed by the proponent in the past, and the zoning ordinance accommodates such uses, but clearly not in the rural residential planning district. Uses similar to the uses proposed in the area plan are permissible and or conditional in other districts. Uses such as dormitories, elderly housing, adult assisted living, state licensed facilities, hotels, and inns are provided in the medical district and only in the medical district, to such a point as to convince me that the area under consideration was never contemplated in this area, even under the planned community district concept. The master plan and zoning ordinance can be interpreted narrowly or broadly in Superior Township for at least 50 years. We have a narrow but reasonable interpretation of permitted future land uses, and rely heavily on the plain words of the master plan to guide development, especially north of Gettys. In 2021, Salem Township sued Superior Township. Salem Township attempted to persuade the circuit court judge that Salem had a right to build a force main sewer line over 8 miles of Superior Township lands. Superior Township opposition to the sewer line rested primarily on how that sewer would impact their future land use decisions and our current zoning and planning. We touted that Superior Township holds a line against development inconsistent with the master plan, that our master plan is thoughtful and has the backing of our residents. So far, we have been successful in defending the lawsuit. But I'd like to quote a statement from IPO, which is the Institute for Continuing Legal Education's publication, Michigan Zoning, Planning, and Land Use. It's a treatise for attorneys regarding land use. So one statement in there that courts review the land use laws, ordinances, and decisions are presented with a difficult task. Overall experience demonstrated that courts look to be based upon arbitrary decision making. In other words, the courts generally find greater understanding and respect to local zoning actions where there is a pattern or track record on the part of the local government to legislate consistent with a well-founded master. The treatise went on to state, where your local government shows a pattern of enacting zoning changes in conflict with its master plan and merely gives lip service to planning as a foundation for zoning decisions, it may well have an uphill battle arguing that the court should force those zoning actions with great respect. Thank you.
I like it, Nancy.
In the Salem sewer battle, we decided not to grant Salem's application to install the sewer. The major factor was the board of trustees followed and respected its own master planning objectives. When we went to court, we based our defense upon our master. I know this case is emotional, and everyone wants young adults in need to receive the best care possible. The decision to deny rezoning doesn't comment on the need and importance of the propriety of the proposed activity, but says it's going in the wrong location. We are consistent with a half-century of land use planning that has served every resident very well. Therefore, I'll be voting.
So you ready? Yes,
Read the roll.
I sure will. Finley, yes. Seacrest. Can you speak up?
Yeah.
Lewis. Linky. Caviston.
No.
McGill.
Yes.
Schwartz. Passes.
Yes. So we're gonna continue on here with our business, and I'm not gonna give a supervisor's report tonight. But do you think it'd be appropriate to take just a 5-minute break to allow people who want to leave to leave? So we're just gonna take a 5-minute break.
I'm like, shoot, that was an interesting timing. Yes. I go to whatever I'm sick, I go to. So, now I'm warming up. Are you still? I'm flashing. Better. Hey, good at a board meeting. What's going on? We're just taking a 5-minute break. What's that? Oh, yeah, call her out. She's enjoying herself. She probably don't. I said she's at the point now she can made sure she got ready to go there. So I said she can lay it on her bed and just chilling. All right, but yeah, I'll be home. Yeah, it's still. Okay. Huh? Am I what? Oh, no. Nah.
Yeah. Okay, could we clear the room of those who want to leave so we can continue with our meetings? Yeah, all right. We're missing the clerk. Back clerk. We need you. Okay, so we're gonna continue on with reports. I'm gonna waive my report if we have anything to say tonight that talk to you about. Bernice, would you like to give a written report or?
I did send around a written report, but I do want to just make a comment about something that the chairperson at Parks and Recreation keeps bringing back to the commission. And it's this idea, Chair Nahid, and I'm gonna massacre her last name, Sani, yeah, I can't say it. Yes, okay. She's asked several times she wants to have a comprehensive policy on, actually not for, well, it's for stipend payments for liaisons, but it's also, she wants to have a comprehensive policy on how people are selected for appointments or how they're appointed to different boards. And I have, Lynette sent me a copy of the board policies, and there's a little blurb about who appoints who, and Ken has the authority of appointing someone on the planning commission, but then it's all our decision about who else gets appointed. It's silent on paying any stipend. So I'm still trying to find out to bring this back to her. I was trying to research how this even came, the Parks and Rec liaison came about. I was asking Ken, he's been here a long time, if the board wanted a liaison, or did the Parks and Recreation Commission want a liaison? And do they even need a liaison at this point? And those are questions that I think this board should address, and also the commission, because one is now the full-time director. He comes to our meetings. He could be the person going back and forth. So they're grappling with this, and I really wanted some help from the board.
So can they make us a list of suggestions or big questions or queries that they have for us? If we have to do all that. One thing I would say about the liaison, I'll check the Parks and Rec statutes. Maybe it's required there. I have.
Okay. But I would like to get, they have a meeting next Monday, and if I could have an answer, just to tell her that I've been trying to dig through this and haven't been real successful.
I guess what I want to hear is like, number one, this is the issue we need to have addressed. Number two, is another issue. So that we can kind of take it all in.
Sure.
They take any action at all.
Well, and that's where, like, because I got the copy of the board policies, they haven't been looked at since, like, I think 2011. So it might just be a great time to look at those policies and adjust those. So, okay, but other than that, I want to show you guys, we had the Superior Township Movies in the Park. It was canceled because of the rain. And it's now rescheduled to Saturday, August 12th at Oakbrook Park. Oh, wait a minute. Is this just the second one? Sorry. So did the movies on the green? Okay, yeah, it got rained out. So Oakbrook Park has movies in the park on Saturday, August 12th. I'll just pass this around. The green.
This month, show their August.
12th.
August 12th, we're showing new Mario Mario. Thank you.
All right.
Anything
That's
else for me, sir?
Juan's been very busy with doing some grants. That Spark grant application for 185,000 to install padded artificial turf under all playground equipment. I think that was at Fireman's Park. And the adult fitness equipment was submitted on time. He's been very busy. He and Jack Smiley went to the Michigan National Resource Trust Fund Board regarding that township grant application that Jack Smiley put through. And they have a really old, I want to bring this, they have an old 2001 Dodge four-wheel truck that they have to keep fixing. We need to look at some of our equipment that's just going downhill. And that's really about it. Oh, and the cleanup day. The chair of the commission, the Parks and Rec Commission, would really like to get with you or the board to work on a cleanup day for Superior Township. There was a comment made by one of the commissioners that maybe we can partner with Washtenaw County government. I guess they do a cleanup day.
Right.
Well, I think she wants really a
Yeah.
cleanup day. Yeah, so maybe we could coordinate with them.
Check with sheriff's office. So it used to be a work crew that would go out and clean up. Since the pandemic, I think it's been expanded. But I'll check to see if they're engaged. They just walk along and pick up garbage.
And I remember at Eastern Michigan University, we used to do something like that where we would go out to communities and get the students involved. So we could probably even do some stuff with the colleges around here.
We did have a cleanup day back. Cleanup day. I think it was cleanup spirit or something like that. All walked, picked up garbage and things like that.
You're welcome.
Any time frame on when you're making that on the presentation or the application?
You're Jack Smiley's. I think, yeah, go ahead.
Typically that's late September, we'll have before they make a decision and then the lines are still. Say the wood spark grant would put in that probably was. And just to piggyback on your comment about the old truck, that's been in the shop for a while.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 2001. I mean, that's an old truck. Yep. Well.
There's just citizen participation in the park commission regular meeting, number 6, talking about the Midsummer Greenway Delight Nature Walk, August 13th.
Oh.
And it's not going to be meeting at the Jack Smiley Nature Preserve, which is right across the street. It's going to be meeting at the new Seacrest Preserve, which is the best. That's just. The parking lot been done over there. Yeah. Much fun.
Let me just see. Yeah, that was in the last minutes.
Yeah. Lynette, you had a report tonight.
Yes, it will be brief, even though it's a very exciting report. We had a celebration in our July 6th meeting because we were able to get 15 mil from the state. We were able to receive that through the wonderful work of our Senator Jeff Irwin and State Rep Jimmy Wilson and Annie Somerville, who sits on the committee and also works with Jeff Irwin, did an outstanding job for us in helping us secure those funds. So we're very, very excited. We believe we have enough money with the county, with the township and other funds that we can get the structure of the building completed. Greg Dill is hoping that by the end of September, we will see something very exciting going on over on that property. And I'm not going to say anything beyond that, but very, very exciting where hopefully we could get rid of Cheney. And what's very hopeful is we may end up with the community center and rec center. They're not really saying it's a YMCA for sure. They're saying rec center, community center. We may end up with that right here in Superior Township, right on the property of Cheney. So it's very, very exciting. We're going to start with our 5 committees and getting work done. I have completed the initial paperwork for a grant from the state of Michigan for another 2.5 million. And it will be basically just programming because you cannot do programming and use ARPA funds. And we've used our ARPA funds, so we have to make sure it's going directly to programming. So therefore, our ARPA funds must go towards the building because we can't mix the funds. Yeah. And that is my report.
Thank you. So if I could get a motion on departmental reports, building fire departments.
So moved.
Support.
Yeah, with Sheriff's Department, I know I've asked this multiple times with regards to their presence at our board meetings and have yet to see that happen. Were they here? Were they here?
No, I think he was not here for the sake of having someone do a report. He was here for absolute.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But the.
So he was
continuation
not
in all
here
of our
for a
meetings
report.
Moving forward, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, she didn't say what she had planned, but she had she couldn't. But it sounded like she'd be very interested in coming, and it is part of the contract. So,
Part of the contract.
and we do have questions, and she is very helpful when I asked her a few questions just about the police report. So it'd be great to have her here.
Plus, she told Bernice and I that she can revise the report because there was some minor errors.
And yeah, she did. So
Yeah, because I was gonna say I have questions around.
so
some of
she uses that as what is it? CLEM, yeah, Clemis data software. And she apparently didn't do this month's report. And generally when she has to, I don't know if she has to adjust something, but she said, oh, I can see it. There's an issue there. And I said,
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't look too
Well,
good.
to her defense, she was on vacation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Regardless,
I hear.
the question I have, it's about the in and outs in the township.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But it's good that you read them.
and
Right.
I've been waiting for months to ask this question. Well, she's on vacation or not here. That doesn't help me.
Okay, so any other questions or concerns about the report?
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that takes us to resolution 2339.
Well, I just have a new business question. I keep asking, because I did request that it be on the agenda, but it's not on the agenda with regards to the personnel manual completion.
Okay. Yeah. It's not on the agenda, right?
I've been asking, I wrote it in, I just realized that it wasn't on here when I flipped the page. I thought it was because I did request it.
discussion on that? We took final action on that.
Couple of things, and I would actually like to rescind my approval of the personnel manual for a couple of reasons. One, because it's not done. I think there were quite a few things that were discussed at the meeting that were not added in. And two, we never discussed way forward. So we walked away from this meeting because there was everybody had to go. And what we didn't do were a couple of things. One, some of the things that we discussed, we did not come up with a plan for the what replaces. One of the things that is very important to me, and I have been saying it forever, is with regards to our utility maintenance department and our gentleman over there. And we have yet to do the pay study. I think before we make any changes, that we need to also align with proper pay and everything else. There were also other decisions that were made that, what is the timeliness of it? Do we go through this calendar year and before we execute on any changes to the personnel manual? So I just feel like there should be a communication plan developed for explaining and walking the staff through it. So there's a lot of things that I still felt like they were blank. That's why I wrote you all the communication and asked for it to be put on tonight's agenda. And since it's not here, I'd like to make a friendly decision to rescind my approval.
And just to let you know, all the changes are in that manual that we did. I was looking at the one that trustee Linky completed with the date of June 30th, thinking that she had all of them in. No, you didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I went back and sent the one that we worked on, which is what we were supposed to do in the clerk's office. And all the changes are in the one that you received today.
Okay, so because I received it today, I haven't had a chance to read it.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
for that reason, again, I would like to rescind my approval of the personnel manual because it's technically not done because we haven't reviewed it and we don't have a communication plan and we don't have the plan for what replaces what. I mean, these are huge decisions that we're making to create alignment, which I do support the direction, but I also feel like we've got some work to do before we just say this is done. So that's just my 2 cents. I would love to bring it back to the board.
Or if you want to discuss how to implement staff.
Yeah, I would like for us to have the opportunity to review it and make sure that all of the changes that we agreed to are in there. But then this next phase of it would be the discussion part.
All right, well, I think we have minutes. I'm concerned about the minute. It was approved at the last meeting.
Yes, it was.
The minutes are approved, I know.
Yeah,
No,
so
the
to
manual.
you accept
Yes.
their correction tonight, assume that when they made those corrections. when she
All
said-
the corrections are made.
But the corrections were made as of today. So there.
No,
has
they
been-
were already, no, I hear what you got them today.
So I just feel like it's not
It's
done.
okay. It's okay. But the key is that we can't have a communication plan until. Yeah, you did, Nancy. It's okay. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
So Lisa had something.
So I just want to make sure that I'm not clear what I'm hearing. So we need to have concerns about whether we fully understood it, if they understand it, or are concerned about it to send an email. Is that what I'm going, we need to send an email so that yes, we have a discussion on it?
We got we started developing, we had our questions, you think that were not resolved, but need to be resolved. No, we can amend it at any time, we can go back and amend it. I think we need to kind of take around the issues, take a look at what the net provided, maybe. Technically but you want me to keep all that.
Well, if I could just say, I know that there are some critical key issues that some staff members have, and one of the most important ones for them is the 3% educational, and that it should be grandfathered in for those who are receiving it. I don't think there's a lot of people that are receiving it. And that six, and that we, like was suggested, that we look at that educational level in the beginning when we hire new employees. So I definitely would support that. And then there are issues with just utilities and comments that were made concerning utilities as it relates to the overtime.
On call.
On call, thank you, Rhonda, the on call. So.
It should be.
I know that Mary will have to look at it, so every question we have for clarification, she was not able to provide it. So I just think that when you have it, I just want to make sure I have very right. Am I to send an email with my questions / amendment to whom, so that maybe, what am I to do?
Well, I don't, and I think that's a great idea. I think we have at least 3 staff members from utilities that can, since Rhonda did bring it up, that may want to offer their comment quickly. Because I hear what you're saying, but how are we going to go forward if you're sending it directly to me when you got the voice right here in the room that could share with you?
Sorry about that, but I don't actually have I don't have it with me. It's probably on my.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, what do I do?
What do we do? Right.
If I do something, please direct me on how to go forward.
So it's almost as if we, and I hate to say it, but we need another working session because this is so important. This is not something, it was very rushed. Lynette, it was very rushed when we were here at that other, people just wanted us to hurry up and get done with it. And I saw your email today, but what I heard before I left that day was to Bernice, do your edits as of today. I didn't say that's what I was hearing.
What I understood.
Yeah, and so when I saw the email, it was the edits.
No, think about it. That's the job of us.
Well, I realize it, but we still had
done. So that wasn't stated.
But I didn't get all the way through my edits, and that's
Your
why
edits were for the June 16th, not
right. But I still had more edits. In fact, there is a section like we don't have anything on interim appointments in that personnel manual. So there are things that are even missing that we probably should have in a personnel manual that will let people know what happens when that you're done doing your interim stint. So
my biggest thing is just timing. I mean, I don't want anything to change until we have a final product and we have a backup plan, because like I said, I think that we need to take things out of the manual, put them in policy, because maybe I want to recommend a raise for our utilities guys or something. I mean, we shouldn't be doing it in a personnel manual.
Okay. There are personnel policy manuals. You can go to, what are the ones we have? We have Pittsfield Township. We have Yucca, and there are others that have all of that.
Our
They're the same
accountant
way.
suggested not putting dollar amounts because those should be flexible.
Your accountant.
Our auditor, rather.
Right.
He said for us that we should.
Oh, you talked to him about the manual? That's what I'm asking.
I spoke, he was sitting here when he was here for the audit.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to pull.
I didn't hear him say.
That's why I wanted to pull numbers out of the manual, because we needed to be able to come up with a comprehensive plan for what's next in terms of the dollars and cents. I don't want to keep messing up the manual.
But that should be done in the manual.
should state that these, whatever the wages are, salaries and wages, is to be set by resolution of the
Yes.
board.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
and that should be the language that you put in the manual itself. And then annually, you can then review
You and revise.
those wages and salaries without having to revise the manual.
Manual.
And it
that's
was,
exactly-
it was just like our per diem amount for travel. That's what we were saying, that you don't have. God, got it.
Okay, keep going.
That-
They get it.
All right.
Keep,
So that would be, just as we do with our building fees and whatever, we don't, when we pass those ordinances, we don't establish the amounts within the ordinances. We provide that it's by resolution. That so then you can then revise those numbers as necessary.
Thank you.
That's it.
That was, thank you. You said exactly what I meant.
that's good.
So let's move on, and I think what we should have, we know discuss one enough, need a work session to go over all of this, so. I don't think.
Thanks, Juan. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, no.
Okay, so that takes us to resolution 2239. Development agreement, top 10.1, phase one. So, this is the resolution, or excuse me, this is the, resolution providing the, approval for the development agreement for Prospect Point West, which is the Prospect Point Phase 3, which was broken off of that 2 years ago, and they came back, the model came back, and there was like 100 lots. Project Point Phase 3. They wanted the larger footprint, larger lot, so they had to actually enlarge the lot size, so it shrink down from 180 down to like 150. This part here is just dealing with phase one. And this is just a very sort of boilerplate development agreement. If we use all of them, and we already have the development agreement for Prospect Point. We don't have one on Prospect Point West. Development agreement in there. It's really just standard. And I think we should just have like they put themselves in the developers.
Okay, I asked someone from the family, the wording of this from
that way. We just get that.
And do we have the fee structure proper? Because we were supposed to be working on the fees revision.
Okay, so that was just approved. For us to be able to do a study on our current fees that we charge for kids and our and it's being reviewed. We are working with Jim to review that, and hoping to get that done as soon as possible before the Prospect West project starts and then for developments that are so we won't get that. So that's kind of what we are expecting. And all of that before they pull out, you see permit, they got to do the grading, they got this lot of things out there. It may be graded this year, but maybe next year.
support. Yes. Finley, yes. Caviston. Lewis.
Yeah.
Schwartz. Linky.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Seacrest. Unanimous.
40. Lisa, I think this is.
Yeah, everyone has to see it. And, there are.
I have no questions.
I just have a question. So you found that the accounting rate or for a professional is between 40 and 50. So is $36 enough?
You know, I would say yes. The person that we have working in the AR time, does not or cannot do the work because the bookkeeper has not enough work for her. She just won't come to work. So I asked her that.
Okay.
She's not having this kind of decision.
Okay.
She only works part-time. She's a grandmother, been working at the time of the benefit, but she also, of course, wants to.
Okay. She has great credentials.
Absolutely.
Move resolution 2023-40.
Support.
Aye.
Takes us to. Resolution 41, which is approving OHM for design bidding construction based for new data for fire station number 2. So, George.
Yes.
George and Juan, either one. Okay, George and I are working. Good evening, everyone. So, there's over at the fire station number 2, Juan asked us to come out and the fire chief to look at installing a new bathroom. In the existing building, as you know, it's an older facility. So it's a tough retrofit, but we looked at it. We're confident it can be done. The proposal in front of you is to do design plans for the new bathroom. We plan on getting pricing from at least 3 contractors, and then the price also includes site visits during construction. Well, to answer questions from the contractor.
So was it ever looked at, remember we were gonna look to see if one of the restrooms, if you could or go through the wall, like have a egress through the wall to that restroom for the Parks and Rec people to use it?
That's existing restroom might be opposite side of the water. Yeah, take a look at it. I think once we start the project, we're gonna probably compare that option, putting it in the bathroom, that currently in storage.
Okay, and if there's a washer and dryer, could the washer and dryer just be moved somewhere else and you? So that would cost 15,000?
No, 50,000 would be, I mean, we'll look at that in the early stages. We're gonna prepare design plans for the new bathroom.
So why would we approve this if you haven't looked at the other option?
Our assumption in the proposal is for a new bathroom.
Yeah, I think we should look at the bathroom that you have, see if you can blow through that wall. I bet that's a lot cheaper.
And that's what I thought that's what we had
That's what I thought we had
discussed.
discussed.
Yeah, we did.
So, proposal that we had before you is for OHM, look at those 2 options. Storage or moving that wall, moving stuff around.
That's not what
Mm-mm.
you just said.
Mm-mm.
Well, I think the proposal rewrote was the design.
To design a bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so.
So how much will we have to pay for you to determine if you can blow through a wall?
That's part of that design process.
That's not
No,
what,
sir.
No,
that's not what was submitted to us.
And if it is, we need to
Juan,
fix
that
it.
the first thing we can do before we get too far into any design is we can come back out and evaluate that option further, see if it's viable.
so how much would that be?
I think if it's viable, I need to come back to you with an amendment.
Yeah. So we should probably
If
just
we
table.
designed it in the
this.
storage room, I think this proposal is for that. Correct.
Okay, thank you for it.
All right, so should this be tabled?
Yeah, I would table it.
The fire chief will down to work and whoever, but now the wall that you're talking about, wall, that wall, there's pipes in front of that, some utilities. Not sure what.
I mean, that's not gonna be a completely straightforward just process either. It's gonna take some drawings also. I mean, there's gonna be some effort there also. Even if we can-
HVAC and water, or, you know, pipes through there. Just seems to me that that was, it's the second best option to me, even if the other one's a little more expensive, because if we're gonna board off that bathroom to use for firefighters. It's dedicated as our view, or you get stores, one coming from inside the fireman's quarters, or one from the outside. I mean. I think we need to have a little more definitive idea of where we're going.
Okay, but even to get the architect to spend some time, I mean, he's gotta do a site visit, he's gotta do some work.
Yeah, we expect that.
Well, so for the architect to go out there, like $2,500.
I'm sure that would be fine. I just need to be able to pay the architect to go out and do the analysis.
Yeah, so up to $2,500 to have that.
Architect or to determine the best space for this.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so.
Do we vote on that?
Yeah, we can vote on that.
Friendly amendment?
We have a motion on that.
We tabled it.
We're tabling.
We didn't vote to table it. We just said, should, do you vote to
Right,
table it?
So we haven't voted on the table, so I think we can table that, but as a second motion,
Okay.
as another motion is to,
I move to table and allow up to $2,500 to be used to allow for our architect to go out and make a determination.
okay. All in favor, voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right. George. Get your marching orders. So that takes to that. So this is next resolution 42, which is OHM engineering and design services for the replacement of the 16-inch cast iron water main along Stanford Road. So George, Ricky, maybe you want to address this one also. I think it's just design here. Well, you were saying it needs to be replaced in your opinion. Couple weeks, yeah, but the need is still there.
You didn't get a copy?
One thing that, Chris. I brought up.
We was talking about the size of May, 1.16 to an 8. So we have, I don't know. If you guys know the information.
So I know Ricky's been working on this, city maintenance in place. The big issue is in order to construct this, we have to come up with. So basically, you've gone through the process of working with the contractor, we still have to reduce plan back to bring this. As part of that process, we will have to document. Then we go all the way down to certainly 16. But that's gonna be something that I can build out. Basically, locational automate. That's basically, so it's a little bit of a pared down design effort just to go through the permit.
Ricky, did you get a copy of this from George and those guys? Did you get a? Okay.
Here, take mine.
I worked with Chris. Or a new water main in and remove the old one or just abandon. All right, so we got a motion on the table in support.
Thank you, Lisa.
For the engineering services for the Norfolk to Hudson Boulevard water main replacement on Stanford Road. Have a voice vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And this resolution to accept the bid from Staunton excavation for the park project. As we all know, we have our relationship with Sal, our satisfactory performance, and the outstanding work that needs to be done, among other things, made is to excavate. I think feet of sand. So that from the existing pump station to the new pump station and abandon the old pump station. And then there'd be some cleanup works and grading and some landscaping that needs to be done. And we had to tell some requirements for the park, which are not part of this. So maybe the stone, some of the park wants to build. Yes.
You said that's not a part of this?
Yeah.
How far off is this from the original estimate of what we thought? We was gonna cost?
Our engineer's opinion on this, on the rebid was around 1 point, I think in the letter we had 1.36 million.
Right, so it's a 50%, you're off by
Like almost 50%.
When did they make that?
Vision is we're off by it.
Well, I'm
It's
just,
a premium on the bid.
okay, so when was that estimate made,
Just before the bid.
which was like a month ago?
1.3,
Yeah, that's,
1.3 versus 1.9.
that's almost $700,000 off.
Yeah, and we talked about the premium for them to come in.
And that's what, so if we waited, I'm just saying, if, when you say premium, is it the timing?
No, it's a contractor having to come in and finish another contractor job.
That's the
And
premium?
I believe them knowing that there's limited number of firms that can come in and do.
Okay,
And prices are high and all these, I see Stante all over the state. You know, on the road construction projects, and sewers and that. And I'm sure that bidding up the prices because the demand for these services is so high.
It's later in the season. It's a short window to get this done and they know they gotta come in and get it done quick.
But are those factors not taken into account when they're making these projected estimates?
They're trying to give you a fair market value for the cost of the project. So you understand when you get those bids, what the difference is. I mean, certainly I could add 50% to the estimate, but in our opinion, that's not a fair market price. You know, if you had 5 bidders, if it was, bid over the winter, it could be that price, but the circumstances of this project are unique.
Plus one contractor substitute for non-public contractor, they always want more money. It's just like one lawyer says to me.
sure, but he just said fair market price. You should know, I hear what Rhonda's saying and I hear what you're saying, George. Given that this is an extenuating circumstance. And another company is going to come in and tag on to what someone else already did. That's probably something that would happen to other, to your other estimates. I mean, this isn't something that, I was very surprised you were off by 700. I was. That's a lot of money. Anyway.
It is.
Yeah, we can't control it.
We're not gonna accept the higher bid.
Way more, right.
It just helps to know, it helps to just kind of get a better sense of what the numbers is. If I can't depend on the numbers,
Right.
But I'm not surprised by anything.
I agree.
I think it's also difficult for us as an engineer to evaluate the risk that the contractor is evaluating. It's extremely difficult. That's why ours is an opinion and their price is a hard bid.
Okay, so, I think we're gonna go forward with this. We have to figure it out, control our, pay for it, while we have enough reserve to pay for it, but we have extra money if we need to. If we have, to, transfer money to this fund for a while. Really, I know one thing about Wisconsin, they will get in there, they will get this job done. It's fast, anybody. Dan,
I hope
We
so.
need a
I hope
support.
so after, yep.
All right, so.
We need a support.
we need to know these-
No,
Yeah.
we moved it.
We don't have the support. Yes. Lewis.
Yes.
Caviston. Finley, yes. Linky.
Yes.
McGill.
Yeah.
Seacrest. Schwartz.
Next item is we have. Contracts. There's 4 contracts.
Do we have them?
Yes, so it's attached to 23-44. And so we have interviewed 2 sidewalk contractors, and this will be.
I don't have,
contract.
I don't.
You may interview more. We just
I-
have.
let's-
one contract.
Can we clarify something before you keep going?
Yeah.
What you have is the blank contract that he wants to use. We do not,
So we didn't bid.
no, not that
We
I know
talked
of.
to people. didn't
We don't
bid
have to
them.
bid, but yeah. I know that we talked about, what's the guy, Morrison, Morris? And that's the only one I know of that we mentioned.
Morris, then I talked to,
How much are we paying? How much
We
do you
don't
think
pay.
we might, well,
$300 per flag, that's 4
so
inches.
that's what the people are paying
Right.
for.
So what this is, if you want to do it on your own as a homeowner, you don't need to deal with us.
Right.
at all. This is for when people say, we want you to do
Okay.
it for us.
Got it.
Then we're sending our contract.
Okay.
So this is just a template
This is.
contract that will be
Okay.
used for whomever does the work. Okay. That helps.
And who's the other? So we're using Morris.
Kay and Morris at this point, but I've still put the word out, I'd like to talk to more people.
More companies.
More, yeah, more companies. When it's working. So we have, Fred did the contract, we have the contract, and so like if somebody else came in, that Irma and I talked to these people, and if we feel that they are competent and capable, then, you know, we would sign, we would fill this out and sign it and send it to you. You'd have to trust us, that we're doing some. due diligence.
Right.
We just want to get everything moving
That's fair.
on the sidewalks. Probably at least half of the notes that come back, they want us to do it.
So quickly, is there a reason we're trying to extend beyond the Morris contract, which is generally we never have a minority contractor doing work? How many people are you looking for?
Well, 2 now, you know, so they get backed up, or, you know, it's gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be, you know, probably 1,000 flags. So I just wanna make sure that you have the manpower to go out and get it done. We have, we can come and see the stack of, we want you to do it, outweighs the staff.
Sure. So,
We wanna get rid of it.
okay. Has it been going smoothly?
Haven't done anything
Well,
yet.
you know, we haven't done anything
But
yet.
I'm talking about the letters, like,
The letters are all gone out, they're coming back, there's been some address problems on some of them, and Irma's nailing them down. And Irma can discuss it, administering the days. It's like, I would say at this point, we think we sent out, what, 700? And we got back, how many, like 300 so far?
But I'd still would like to address the concern that Irma brought up earlier as relates to other properties within the township that definitely, I know I walk Bromley Park area and they have uneven broken sidewalks. So I'm very concerned that we're just looking.
You know, we're doing 700 households. And, you know,
I think I'm referring to that if we're getting letters out in a timely manner, we need to get letters out to all. So it doesn't appear as if we are just doing one area, which is, in my opinion, one of our most impoverished areas. Or when it, I know, I'm aware of that.
we're doing the 4 of those.
That's my point exactly.
So I thought we had approved to do the entire township so that all the letters could go out.
That's what I thought too.
I won't.
Hey, I care about what is there. I care about sidewalks and sidewalks and ground. There's no reason to exclude any group. There's nobody that's better than another, no neighborhood that's better because a trip hazard is a trip hazard. A bad sidewalk is a bad sidewalk. But the sidewalks, one of the, and I'm just, I am always about with the sidewalk, sent out a lot of letters. I don't have, I would say that we probably have about maybe 25% back. So now we got to figure out what we're gonna do. All of those people that don't respond, I need the board to make a decision. If people don't respond, you just go out and do it.
No, she did. She's talking
I
about
would say the
notice.
reason we're only doing those four subs is that's what we told OHM to go out and investigate.
That's not true. That is not true. No, it's not.
I'm outside talking to people on the neighborhood. David Mason across the street. Then another person, Mr. Lewis, on the other side, they didn't get a letter. So what I did, I took down their address. I went and looked at the list that I received, and it's not even on it. So that's oh, but what about those that I find out about? I said, well, what about
So if I could address the board, because I'm the one who specifically asked for
Yes, she
this.
did.
And it was that OHM does the entire township so that we can make sure that all of the markings were done. They had come to do a presentation and they had some boards that they were showing us about some different cracks and things like that. And the question did come up. So because we had authorized, at that point, it was you and Laura, to go ahead. In fact, it's been that long because Laura was still working with you to go ahead and get all of those out. And I believe it was May of 2022. And that was when we said we wanted to get all the letters out to the entire township so that folks could go ahead over that summer and start doing their sidewalks, or at least letting us know. Because at that point, we were still considering some usage of ARPA funds. But it was go ahead and do the entire, because they were supposed to even go over to West Ridge and Bromley and all of those, because that was a big question. Like, why aren't we just doing everything and getting letters out to everyone? So that was in May of last year.
We signed agreements, OHM only do those 4 subs.
But
She went back
authorized as a board to do it. So if we only signed one contract, then that was somebody totally missed what we approved. But as a board, we did approve because we wanted, because somebody said every 5 years that it was supposed to get done. And we were like, oh yeah, well then we should probably go ahead and make sure we do it. And that was over a year ago. So that hasn't happened. So if OHM can't do it, we need to get somebody that can.
No, Ken, that's not fair. Everybody needs the same process at the same time.
Well,
That's only equity.
take your office and you run it.
I know it, I'm watching who's doing it.
And I get it. And there's nothing we can do about it right now in this moment. I'm just saying that I know that I asked specifically for that to be done. And it's been over a year. I thought that we had went out and did all of the sidewalks in areas where there were sidewalks, that we had
we had approved for all sidewalks to be looked at so that we could get things addressed because everybody was talking about.
And then we add after the added because they didn't do that. And they went out to the markets. And then they went out and remarketed again, but we'll take a look at that. I understand that we want to get all the sidewalks. I mean, this is a really bureaucratic effort to do this. And, you know, you want to do that, I want.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Be able to process all this. I mean, if people are, permits went out, looking at sidewalks every day, you know, answering people's questions. And we haven't even got to meet them, you know, and a lot of people are non-responsive, so we have to send them a letter. If you're non-responsive, don't contact us by X date, and we're gonna, that you want us to do it, and we will schedule the repairs and your, at our cost.
But I thought that the process that we had approved was that the letters went out to all the residents that, that needed to do a repair. And in that letter, it was specifically telling them that if they don't have it done by a certain date and time, that we would do it and it would be added to their tax bill.
Right.
So it shouldn't have to be a follow-up.
Well, you know, 700, you get less than 30% back. You should follow up. People just threw it away or whatever. I don't want to send somebody out there to do the work and sit in the bill for $1,500 without giving them notice.
I mean, absolutely giving them the notice, but if they aren't responsive and you have to go ahead and do it anyways, you're gonna have to do it. So you're just not, you're gonna leave the hazard there because you didn't hear back from a resident.
No, but for us to go out and do it, if they refuse to pay, I mean, we're paying these contractors, we could end up, we've already done the estimate, we're like $80,000 right now, or so into it, we are, you know, if we get people who's like, I didn't authorize it, I didn't care about it, I'm not paying for it, you know, then we have to start paying our volume.
Yeah.
We have 500, 600 accounts, we're trying to clock.
No, yeah, I just recall the whole.
The markets were only for most for subs, and we didn't do any of the markets for the newer subs. I'm sure there's some sidewalks.
That's only because
They need like guys up front. They have sidewalks that you're place into the address. So I told everybody that, and I have not received one. Oh, Romney did? So anyway, we need to have a contract to send people out. That this approved it, it pretty much.
move resolution 2023-44.
Support.
Aye.
Motion to approve water.
I just have one question. Is this a payment please? Over the fees that were already paid?
Those are two different items.
Watershed Council, did we just pay them something else?
Yeah, they're two different. One is the Huron Watershed Council. It's not the same. I can go back and get the clarity. That's the one we already approved, and I gotta go back and look at it.
On that one.
Yes. That's good.
Support.
All in favor of paying the water.
Aye.
Aye.
There was something here on the reading that says the ordinance 26 to be first reading, and I think it meant Clay Hill Farm, but all we have in our.
Okay.
This is Clay. What do you?
This is Clay. Yeah, this is Clay Hill.
This is how it is. It is Clay.
This is the first reading.
Yeah.
For the zoning change.
All I have the resolution of recommendation.
It's a recommendation of approval and then the area plan for review. And this is for them to change the zoning.
First reading.
We haven't brought it up.
First reading.
It's first reading.
This is the first reading.
He has it. Yes, you do, Ken.
For July 17th. 174-26.
Okay. Yeah, that's what. That's right. That's a recommendation. He's the one that I just gave. Right, she gave me.
174-26.
Okay, we believe you. That's good.
Cool.
It slipped the wrong one, in, that's all, that's all.
I have-
Okay, so, gonna get a motion and support for the first reading.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion on it?
I'm about to say we can't have any discussion on it because it's the first reading.
Reading.
You want this? All right. We discussed if you wanted to, but. Okay. So why don't we got motion support? Why don't we just get the roll? It's no guarantee that we will second reading.
So can I ask you just for point of clarification on the other one that we did, you read, do you have to read it? Do you have to read this? The Dixboro one.
Oh.
Thank you. Yes.
Well,
Just the first
reading, I
part.
don't think we have to read it. It has to be in this form.
Okay, that's okay. I just remembered.
He just read it because technically you don't have
So
to.
this be rezoning the following properties for tax ID J 1035 2009 and then Arthur 35 204 from its current zoning. Which is PSE to PC. Actually.
Plan community PSP.
All right, so first reading, motion support.
Yep,
Yeah.
I did.
Yes, I will. Lewis.
Yeah.
Finley, yes. Linky.
Yes.
Caviston. McGill.
Yes.
Sechrist. Schwartz. Unanimous.
Okay. Thank you for getting that, I'll clarify. Bills for payment and record of disbursements. Motion.
I move that we pay the bills for payments.
It's 10 o'clock. We tired.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I have one question. One question. And that's with Cribley Drilling, final payment of well. Remember, I thought oh, I'm sorry, this is for the general account. It is page 1 of 2 for general. And if you go down most toward the bottom of the page, probably 6 or 7 up, Cribley Drilling. I'm guessing this is Dixboro.
Yep.
Here's my question. I thought we sent a check to Dixboro for 8,000 something that they hadn't cashed for a long time.
Tom picked it up.
So what happened? Like, did they send the check back?
You'll have to ask Nancy on that. I don't think they sent that check back. So remember, they went out, they gave us a bid for whatever it was, 11,000. Then they came back and said after they talked to Eagle, that there was a plume that they were fearful that was there, and so they required a different casing around the home. And that drove it up to 5,000 or 6,000.
Okay, so that's why, that was my question. So in addition to that first check, this may be the second check, but what Nancy said it was, the total cost was 14,500.
You'll have to ask for that again. I don't recall off the top of my head, but that sounds pretty close.
Okay.
And there's, I think also gonna be another charge when they connect it from those wells to the interior plumbing. So. On the markets.
Okay.
Okay. That is our,
Yep.
all right, all in favor of paying the bill?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say
Aye.
Aye.
As anybody has a clear petition.
I have a plea petition. We received in our board packets a letter from the African American Cultural and Historical Museum of Washtenaw County that they had an open house and we missed it because we didn't get it till
Well,
late.
let me
But
make a,
can we please send
Can I-
them a letter or something?
can I say something? And
Yes.
I'm glad you did mention that. And I talked to my folks in reference, let me finish for a quick. She also said she sent a letter to every single board member. I mean, an email, and I know I got the emails twice. You never got anything? Yeah, she sent it, she said she sent it to every single board member. Yeah, so that's what I was banking on too, that she did do that, and she clearly is Debbie Covington. She said she definitely did that. And with the letter, you're absolutely right. And I said to them, I said, when I opened mine, because I didn't get mine until the pack, and I said, I'm right here in the office, or should have had mine. And then that would have been able to instruct them to get you your letters. That was just a misinformation
No,
thing.
it was nothing bad. Just wanted
Well,
to say
yeah.
on behalf of the township,
Yeah.
I really, I wish.
I'll let Debbie know
that-
for sure.
yes, Absolutely.
There any other? Board first?
From the board.
Yes.
Manuel.
That's all right.
It's late.
Yeah, so addressing you guys regarding the education certification. Regarding the employee manual, in my opinion, I think it's unfair to take away 3% from employees who have been receiving the education certification incentives for over 10 plus years for having a certification and degree that they work so hard for. I understand that it's the board trustees prerogative to change the employee manual whenever deemed necessary, but I ask on behalf of my fellow colleagues, the ones that have been receiving the education certification incentives for over a decade, that they be grandfathered into the employee manual, and that all new hirees will not be offered such a clause. One more thing I'd like to address is I would like to speak to everyone individually at some point, because at the one special board meeting that you guys had, there were some things that were said that were untrue about me and my team. I want to address it, clear the air, so y'all understand where I'm coming from. If there are some other questions I'd like to address, get some understanding on things I read in the meeting, in the minutes. Special meeting regarding the employee manual. And find the time just for me, it doesn't matter to me, two at a time. However you can do it. Definitely.
Want to send us a request on that? Or you send us a request.
Thank you.
All right, Dan, I'm sorry. So let me apologize right off the bat, because I know you've had an exhausting meeting today already. It's gone on.
It's 10:15. But this may be my last opportunity to get in front of you before you make the decisions about the personnel manual. I know most of you already, but my name's Daniel Allen. I work for the utility department. It's come to my attention, the board is eliminating the education certification bonus. And I'm standing here to petition to respectfully ask you guys to reconsider that. And to not remove the education and certification bonus. Or if, like Ricky said, maybe grandfather it in for the employees that have been here. I've been here for 15 years with the utility department. I was 4 years with Parks and Recreation before that. And I'm thankful for my job. I'm very happy. The township's always been very generous with me. And I saw in the changes that you're giving an allowance for the overtime, or for the being on call. Thank you for considering that. You know, that means a lot to us, I'm sure. Over the years, I've grown to see this education bonus as an integral part of my wages, and count on it to make ends meet for my family. We all know, you were saying how much construction costs have increased, but we all know just simply going to the grocery store that things have gone up so much. This is
not a good time to be cutting wages or benefits for your loyal employees, but a time to reward them for continuing their efforts. Morale is already low when we go in the grocery store. And I know that removing some of our wages is going to make morale even lower. If the board does choose to eliminate the bonus, then please consider continuing it for the employees that have been receiving it. Grandfathering in the bonus for current employees would not negatively impact families that are already accustomed to receiving this bonus and counting on it for budgets that are already stretched thin. I'm again respectfully asking the board to not eliminate the education certification bonus or to grandfather it in for the current employees that receive it.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
ask one question? So I didn't find where we were giving a bonus if you had a certification, and there's quite a few staff. When you talk about education bonus, it's only for staff who have bachelor's, and masters. I think it's 2% for
3%.
bachelor, 3% for masters. Oh, okay, for associates. So, but someone who gets their certification, you know, like a specialized certification, we never gave it to. So that's sort of, you know, when you think about.
I think that's a great example because really Gary, Ricky, Rob, we all have a water operator's license.
Exactly.
That's
So
an
I'm just,
additional
I think it's an issue that we have to grapple with because there are 6 people in, you know, in the general fund, utilities, that doesn't include the firemen because they're
That's
under
separate,
a
right.
union. They have a union contract. But we really have to talk about the fairness
Exactly.
and the equity. And I just want to say that I have never found any other business that gives that little bonus for education. And one of our staff, we were looking at the salary schedules. She gets $95,000 when you add up everything. And I don't think we're always aware of what some of the staff get. $95,000 is a great salary to have in this time. So I think it's important that we start looking at salaries, doing a salary study, because maybe the utilities are out of line. I don't know, because we've never done it. We've said that we would do it, but we've never done it. But I would love it if anybody could find anywhere where you pay someone for having a degree. I would love that.
Research and YCUA, which I worked for 10 and a half years, 11 years. They provide that to all of their employees and always have. I have their manual right here. And also Pittsfield Township.
Is it for utilities only or for all staff?
YCUA is a utility company.
So what I'm asking is.
Municipalities,
Yeah,
like
is it
It's a municipality.
LDY?
for all of Ipsy
It's a
Township.
all employees.
Never, ever.
I have their manual. This is their
No,
current
that's
one.
YCUA. I'm
No,
talking about
I
for Ipsy
believe
Township.
YCUA.
And then YCUA incorporates, it's Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority, which incorporates the city of Ypsilanti. It also incorporates the township of Ypsilanti. It's an authority. So it was formed to oversee the utilities for for the city and the township of Ypsilanti. And they provide that education incentive to all of their employees. Also, Pittsfield Township, which is also a municipality, they also provide that to all of their employees. So it is something that is very common with municipalities to give that incentive. So Superior Township is, has provided that for many years. And I feel as a person that leads the utilities, it is something that is lowering the morale of the employees. There are only 2 employees that receive this. And it was very, when this was presented, there was no explanation as to why suddenly this was being pulled out from them. And to encourage them and try and keep them satisfied. I feel that there should be some type of explanation beyond we're making changes. It's kind of something is being taken, but nothing is being given.
Mary, what are you looking? What are those?
These are the manuals for both of those organizations.
For Ipsy Township.
So
Pittsfield.
I just wanted to state that. And I also want to just say that with this happening, in this time, with the utility department, with so many things happening in our economy, it is a really, the timing is not the best timing to do something like this, to just take away a benefit that was afforded to them for many years. And there is no explanation as to why it's just being taken. And then me trying to keep the calm and keep the morale high, explaining that to employees. I was caught off guard because I did not know. So for them to come to me, I had one employee that was very upset and wanted to, and stated that they were going to leave. And they hold a very important position with the township, and to just lose valuable employees for something, like that. I just think it's not good. And I feel I'm a person that believes that your employee is your greatest asset. It is not the booster station or the pump station or the lift station. It is the employee. They are the asset, and we should value them and try and build them up and encourage them, and versus taking something from them. So I just feel that we need to really consider this, what is good for the township, what is good for the employees, and protect our assets.
If I could just comment on that, I'm really against it, but I'm not. I am for grandfathering it in for those that receive it now. I think it's been mentioned already that you give that person based on their degrees or whatever in the beginning.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, the thing is, I understand what you're saying, but in these cases, they were already
Let me
hired.
finish.
Okay,
What I'm
go ahead.
saying is, what are you doing? What I'm saying, Mary, is that I strongly support the people that are receiving it now, because it's become a part of their income and they count on it. So
Absolutely.
I think grandfathering it in would be what I would support.
If I could just say something. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nancy. Go ahead. I didn't realize she had her.
My biggest thing is if you're hired in at, let's say it's $10,000, and with that $10,000, are you entitled without going with additional education? Do that, in other words. So, but steps up that you should be reimbursed and taken care of and the facility. My problem is if you were hired in, why are we giving? You still got the same thing. You haven't gone back to school. You haven't gone from a bachelor's to a master's. So my biggest thing, I want to understand. I do agree with going to school and or whatever, then you're entitled to reimburse and get the percentage. But only if you're doing it then. My concern was that we're doing it when you're hired, and then the next year you get another 3%, and you haven't gone up in education.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but in some cases, the education is the job. They are learning the job. These guys, they know this township. They know the infrastructure, they understand it, they have learned, they have a plethora of knowledge concerning, you know, our sewer system, our water mains. They are gaining knowledge constantly. That's education. It may not be formal. Now, they are also certified through the state of Michigan. Ricky Harding holds a S1 license, which is the highest license as a water operator. Gary, Dan, and Rob also hold a S4 license. And as far as that, yes. So, and what I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying about education, but many of the jobs that we offer when we post them, there is not an education required for them. Okay. When you look at those positions, they were posted. It did not require a master's degree. It did not require a bachelor's degree. It required a high school diploma in most cases. Now they have gone beyond that. Dan holds a bachelor's degree in science. I think he has a background in teaching, where he was a teacher at one point, and now he's gone into this field. So as far as that, I feel that the job is education. The fact that they know their job thoroughly, they understand it, they're getting their certifications, and they are recertifying themselves. They are required by the state of Michigan to gain their points every year and turn those in. So that is education, and them updating and understanding the systems as they progress, the infrastructure changes. So that is education, and they should be rewarded for that. So, and as far as them not being paid for certifications, we did give them a bonus when they first received their S1, S4, whatever license that is. They did receive something. They don't get it annually. The only people that get it annually are the ones who have an actual college degree. Okay, so
You do?
well, that is the case.
You do.
That is the case. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't when they were hired. For any of those jobs, they were not required to have that degree. So they were hired in, you know, those positions did not require a degree. So if we do change that and we say you're going to be required, a degree is required, then we have to look at all of that, you know, but yeah.
This is exactly why I said we need a next level conversation. One of the things that is most concerning to me is the fact that there's this $3,000 here, $2,000 there, $6,500 here, $8,000 there, and people are making this all throughout the township. When in reality, we should be looking at the pay structure for all of these guys, because I feel like they're totally underpaid and that they should be making way more, and probably more than the $3,000 that you're in here fighting for. I think you probably are worth damn near double, triple that. But my point is, we need to look at the wages and stop doing this, throw a couple dollars to people here. If you all can see the stuff that we see, I'm like, we have to stop. It's this nickel and diming type of a thing that is happening. And everybody, you get a $5,000 because you do this, you get a $3,000 because you do that. We need to stop that. We need to look at the whole structure of the township's pay wages and make sure that we are paying people fairly and equitably. You all don't make what the fire department makes. You all don't get all of them extra little nickels and dimes that they make, but because you're not union. So it's only fair that we take a step back and look at the big picture and not just throw a couple of dollars to satisfy you, but give you what you are truly, truly worth for the work that you all do. Because as Mary always says, and I've always backed, the fire department can't put out a fire unless you all get up every day and do your damn job.
And if you think that I think that Rhonda was saying earlier about wanting to visit the personnel manual is because, again, the very well explanation that it's just providing for us, for some of us who have no knowledge of how they need to think about we had no knowledge sitting up here when we discovered that. And what you just provided was absolutely
Great.
But I just want you to know, what is the Great Lakes Water Authority, they also give their employees a percentage when they get certifications and so on and so forth. I don't know how it works, I think it's even every. I don't know, but I know they also do the same thing, so if you wanted to just look at something else or someone else that that is also something else.
Yeah, and I just want to state that I think we need to start from some point. One of the issues has been ongoing since I've been here since 2017. I came, the guys, they are not paid for when they are on call. They have to make themselves available. They can't leave town. They can't go out to dinner with their wives or children or family because they have to stay put in case they're called in because they're on call. And it happens in many cases. They are not compensated in any shape or form. And I feel that we need to start somewhere and give them what's right. I looked at a bunch of municipalities and we're one of the very few that do not and have not compensated for that at all. And this is something that was promised to them. When I came here, it was promised to them and they still have not received it 6 years later. So I'm here just standing and saying, we need to start somewhere.
So that
Need to give them what they deserve, what they've earned. They come in, I don't have a problem in this department. Where I came from, YCUA, they had a severe attendance problem where people were calling off from work all the time. The morale was low. We don't have that here. We don't have that problem. These guys show up to work. They show up, they're here before time. They're here overtime whenever they're needed. They're here. We don't have a problem with call-offs, people calling off from work, oh, I won't be in. You know, I don't have that issue here. And it has been a tremendous blessing, you know, so I just want us to really realize, you as the board, I'm addressing you. They are a great asset to this township. And I hope you all recognize that and that you will give them what's due to them.
So Mary, if I'm correct, and I know I am, did you not put that section in the manual, the amounts and all of that?
I did do a recommendation based on some research I had did based on other municipalities who provided it. So I did come up with a number. It was just to get them started because like I said, right now, they can't enjoy their summer like you do. They get an alarm at 3 a.m. They gotta answer it. They gotta make that call and find out what's going on. So I just feel that the fact that they're on call, they should be compensated.
We agree.
Right. No, we had an explanation, but it wasn't the correct explanation. Right, absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
And we, no.
We was not able to get on the Zoom. We had no way
Yeah.
to have something clarified. So we were almost in the dark when we were making decisions. So
And it was a dollar amount that we said, pull it out of the manual because we need to understand and create a policy around it. Because they should be looked at every year, not just put in the manual and sat there to be forgotten about. So that's why we pulled that out and paid properly.
stated for their skill set.
Absolutely.
All I got.
Absolutely.
So what I have to say
Further.
is I think we have to have a conversation about why we're valuing or why we valued degrees over certification.
Exactly.
I don't think that's fair. And I think that there's something about that just, it could be in the history, someone got a degree and someone decided that's how we're going to pay it. But I think that certificates, especially in utilities, why are we we're paying them what? So how do you justify?
Well, I don't justify it because in other municipalities and where I came from, you got an annual because you got that certification. And realize that the state of Michigan requires that you recertify and that you
Why don't we
keep
do
your,
You know,
to keep your certification.
when I was looking, I was looking at old, board packets because I was trying to find something. I did find where we had said that we were gonna do a salary study, and it was supposed to be done by last December. I think that has to happen. It has to happen. Right.
We need to look at this. Exactly.
And also look at whatever else we could do to keep it. Because I'm gonna go back to the fact that Mary said that her employees are always there on time. I think that's a plus. We had phones ringing down here, people ain't even in the office. And I'm sick and tired of talking about people don't come to this office on time. But her employees are always on time. They may get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning. People supposed to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're not here. And they're not even getting paid. And they get paid for being here. Something's wrong with it. I have a problem with that. And I have talked about that endlessly, and I am sick of talking about it. But we're not compensating people like that.
They deserve it.
Matter of fact, maybe we should take it from the people that don't come to work either. And
Give it to them.
I'm all about that.
I'm gonna live that life with you, girl.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mary.
Hopefully that was the last.
No, Ben has something.
One more, please.
Well, we gotta be successful.
My name is Ben. I work in the assessing office. Most of the trustees don't know me. And that's kind of by design. I like to keep my head down, work hard, try to stay out of people's attention. But I guess I felt called to say something. I am one of the people that have a certification and don't have a degree, and I have not got that bonus. And it made me feel awful to think that that would have been taken away from anyone here because it wasn't fair to me. So I would just say, I'm speaking on my behalf. I would hate to think that that was taken away from because there was concern that it wasn't fair to people like me who have a certification and not a degree. I would prefer that they kept their bonus for their education. They worked hard for that. And I think Lynette had a great suggestion about grandfathering people in, because I like I said, I'm one of those people you were referencing, and I would hate to take it away from people who've been living with that. Well, then I misunderstood.
We're not talking about taking away nothing. We're talking about restructuring and making sure people are getting paid fair.
Well,
and that would include you too, Ben.
Well, it doesn't need to include me. I guess the point I'm trying to make is it seems like some people felt like something was being taken.
And every one of our employees is valuable.
There was a conversation about people living in this would be their last time to see it. However, from all the discussion and thorough conversation we have had today, I think that minds are woke.
Exactly.
There was knowledge things that we did not have.
I just wanted to provide another perspective on it. That's all.
I'll
go back to not being noticed. I just wanted to say I don't get the bonus, but I'm happy for those that do, and I would hate to think anything would happen to that bonus. Exactly. Okay.
Tell them.
All right. Well, that was all I wanted to say. Sorry to
No, you're okay.
Come on, Rob.
Gotta give me 30 seconds.
Irma, you've had more than enough.
Just real quick, my name is Rob Millett. I'm the oldest guy on the crew here. Most experienced, yes. I retired from the city of Ann Arbor and came here to work. I have over 25 years plus and added another 5 or 6 years working here. It's a small crew that works here. We don't miss any days, and we let each other know when we're missing days, because this place can't run without the 4 of us. Whenever one person's on call, it's not just that one person. One thing we make sure that when we come in on call, we call the next person that's behind us on the call out list. It's only 4 of us on our list. Well, we do that because, especially at night, we don't want one person to go out at night and something happens. One, he can't run a truck by himself. He can't do the job by himself. That one person that's on call goes out and assesses the situation. And this is just how things work. We never had time to sit down and speak to whoever came out to visit us. But if you do come out and spend time with us, we'll actually explain how things work, how we accept our calls, and just exactly what goes on. A lot of things I've noticed, even from the minutes, seem to be hearsay. It's not exactly what happened. And it's just stuff that we've, read previous meetings and stuff like that.
And I'm going to say, I think it was because for most of us here, we didn't have anyone here to provide explanation or rationale. And that's not to slight anyone, it's just that we didn't have it. So I think these are the things that would what the city for more than likely it's fine. However, we didn't, again, we need to do this clearly. Even right here in this town, we don't know how it's going to be.
Right. I think it's very important too that one of us are here just so you can hear it from the horse's mouth. It's not just somebody bringing you information that's not down there with us. Exactly. There you go. And the thing is, not only we provide water, but we take care of sewage. I'm serious. We do it both. I mean, every time, yeah.
I was about to say,
I mean,
wave you down while you're driving down the street.
And the thing is that, the people in our community, I look at everybody as my neighbor. It doesn't make a difference which part of town, the township you live in. I take care of you, I want to leave everybody happy. When I go out and do a job, I want to make sure a job is like it's my house.
Right.
Whether I'm inside your house or in your front lawn, working out front. That's what we try to do. Mhm. Oh, absolutely. I was before. But, I know things run in different areas. It's a smaller township here. And I was hoping that you'll kind of get to that point. Realistically, I was hoping that you'd get to that point, even with the incentives for having a certification. In the past, I did have a S1, which is the top certification. It's administrative license for a large community, like Ann Arbor, whatever. A water district cannot run without somebody there with a certification, period. State would not allow it. You got to have, depending on the size of your district, a certain certification. Minimum small communities, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 being an administrative license. Okay, so if you have a 1, if we didn't have a 1 or 2, this district, we'd have to hire somebody, or IPSI or somebody would have to take over our water district. We're able to run our water district within because you have Ricky here and Mary here running.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say, everything today that was talked about was so good. I really appreciate you talking about that pay structure, but what needs to happen, y'all need to go back to that checklist, because what happened, we had this big conversation, talk about it, I don't hear nothing about it for another 6 months. So let's just continue to follow up on things, have that checklist that you had before, so that things can be followed up and we can just keep going.
And I've got the history of how all this went down with the 3% and the longevity pay period. So I would like to be involved in looking at the pay structure, because I do know how that all came.
That's your job.
Thank you.
Okay.
So are we done with pleas and petitions?
I also know why they did what Diamond talked about. Let's get 3,000 here this year and not do anything locally for the whole town. I know. All right. Anybody else have a plea and petition tonight?
Nope.
All right, so.
So moved.
Support. Aye. Okay.
Oh my God.
I know. I haven't had dinner.
What can I do about somebody else's problem when they don't come here at 8 o'clock? Can I seriously got that done? Well, I'm gonna file the truck department about telling you. This one, your story.
So I talked to the policeman behind him. He's actually on the night shift or something. He was asking.